Well, they've been working on all the projects, but the planetarium is one that's near and dear to me. It's exciting, and we want to share with you a little bit of information about it tonight.
Awesome.
Okay, you guys are really familiar with the history of our current planetarium. I mean, we're really proud of it. It was built in '64. It was built as the space race was heating up. The planetarium was offset in cost by the federal government in order to engender excitement and interest in research, study of space and space exploration. So LaPorte, especially with our closeness, proximity to NASA, the Johnson Space Center, has considered this to be a proud part of our district heritage. And the only thing I want to add on this slide is in 1985, there was an article in the paper that said that the LaPorte Planetarium was one of 13 in the state. There is an association of planetariums nationwide. We are in the southwest region. In Texas, I just checked the registry. In Texas, there are currently 13 planetariums that are in school districts. One of them is not functioning, so there are only 12 that are working. Now, there are 23 other planetariums that are actually called Star Labs. They're portable. They can be moved around. They are temporary. They've got a framework, the fabric over it, and a portable projector. And so there are 23 of those in the state, in addition to the 13 planetariums. So our planetarium is going to be state-of-the-art, full-blown planetarium.
Have the other 12 done anything like this? Or are they just still standing pat on there?
This is the newest and the most modern of those 13. And again, the one of them is not functioning because it's aged out. A little bit about background here. The current planetarium has limited instructional space. It's really small. We can only get to it through an interior entry, so if I want to bring guests in, they've got to come all the way through the campus to get to it. The projector technology is archaic. It's not supportable. It's not flexible. It can't do what we need it to do. If we were to renovate that space to keep it as a planetarium, we would have significant cost due to life safety upgrade requirements. And the original dome requires repairs, which will actually degrade the dome, and it will require some asbestos abatement in addition to that. Cool. So when we started looking at this proposition of the new planetarium, we assembled a committee. It was a multidiscipline committee with community representation. We had our architects represented, we had school administrators, we had teachers, we had community members, and we have expertise from the Johnson Space Center. We're very fortunate that we have a person in our school district, Linda Hyde, an administrator, whose father is a hero of the space program, Robert Crippen. Linda Hyde's sister, Susie Crippen, still works at the Space Center, and because of their access, we have gotten a lot of expertise and support out of the Johnson Space Center. So we've been planning this the concepts that we want to put into this planetarium now for some months, and we think we're heading in a real cool direction. So at this time, I want to turn it over to PBK and let them talk to you about the proposal.
Great, thank you very much. I'll try to be brief. There's a lot of information on this slide. I'll go over it very quickly. But basically, the new construction will be next to or adjacent to the new math and science wing. We have another slide in a minute that'll show you graphically where that is. The total square feet is going to be a little over 1,000 square feet. As David Knowles had suggested, the old planetarium had a little difficulty getting into the planetarium from the outside. You'd have to go through the high school, perhaps disrupt things. So you will see that the new location you can get into from the outside and not have to go in through the entire school, which we think is a positive thing. The planetarium itself, the equipment is going to be state-of-the-art. We've got a new laser projection system. It's made by a company called Barco that actually makes high-end cinematic projector systems. And this system actually is a brand new model that they're developing. So you're going to have state-of-the-art imagery on what we call a state-of-the-art dome. So there will be a new dome that you're going to get to see some really, really sharp images. Some of the capabilities, though, you will be able to see the standard traditional night sky where you can see the stars and the planets coming across. But there's other things, too, that you're going to be able to see. I think Mr. Knowles is going to go into a little bit of that, but there's more multimedia. There's more learning type programs that the kids will be able to see, and these programs go from high school all the way down to elementary school age as well. Again, the imagery, you can project artwork, many other things. The dome itself will be about the same diameter as the existing planetarium dome, which is 24 foot in diameter. Also, there will be room for about 30 students. We could probably put a few more in, but we have room for at least a classroom size population in there. Also, there will be an audio system, basically a surround sound type audio system. So these multimedia presentations that you can get will have fantastic sound. So it'll be a very cinematic type experience.
And we are trying to preserve the heritage.
I'm sorry. Interrupt. What's the current seating capacity of the existing planetarium right now?
It's close to 30.
It is close to 30?
Yes.
Okay. And on these, what y'all recommending on all this, on the proposed, Roy, I know you had spoke at the Citizens Bond Committee meeting. You talked about one of the consultants, a German consultant that would come and look, and are these some of the recommendations from that consultant?
Absolutely. We've been working hand in hand with them from day one.
Okay.
David Ellis, our architect here, has been working with them very closely. So everything, the programming that we've developed over the past several months is based on their recommendations.
Okay. Thank you.
So may we say the current capacity is seating without orientation?
Yes, sir.
Seating without orientation.
If it's an instructional format, it's 30. If you wanted to put more students in there for orientation, especially the younger students, you definitely would.
Well, I was kind of curious because some of the high school classes could be 35 students. Where I would just want to see if it could fit some of those larger classes, in case scheduling wise that could be and not be an issue or anything like that, fire, hazard or anything. So okay,
No hazard.
Okay.
One of the things that we wanted to do was preserve the heritage of our original planetarium. So as Sam goes through this, he'll show you where we have actually a sort of a storefront display area adjacent to the planetarium where we're going to display the original projector system that came out of the original planetarium. And because that planetarium was associated with the time frame where manned space exploration matured, a lot of the graphics that will be in there will be graphics that we have basically gotten from the Johnson Space Center and NASA to be the backdrop. And so that will be an inspirational for students that are just walking by, or it will be another instructional focus point for the program.
Correct. Something else we did a lot of research and development looking at other planetariums. Actually, David Ellis did a ton of research and also went to the Burt Baker, which is in downtown Houston. They had done a brand new remodel of that entire facility, and it's amazing. We are not at all trying to compete with the Burt Baker, but what we will have here in LaPorte is a quality that is very, very similar to that quality, the quality of imagery. Of course, the Burt Baker, on this slide, we really go into more what's in the Burt Baker. They have a 60-foot dome. They have seating capacity for 285. They've got 6 of these projectors. We're not going to have that, but we're going to have something that I believe LaPorte community will be very proud of. And I think we'll say there are other neighboring communities that will want to come and see this. It will be amazing. Just looking, we talked a little bit about the location. If you look on the slide, there's a number 1, and that is the location of the existing planetarium that's going to be renovated into educational support type space. And then the number 2 that you see is the location of the new proposed planetarium. It's basically over by the Shadows Dance studio, the PE dance area, and also very closely linked to the new math and science wing, which that just goes right into your whole STEM program anyway, the whole math and science program. It also is showing the close-up of it. We're talking about an overall size of about 36 feet by 44 feet. It'll be 28 feet high on the exterior, which will match the new math and science wing. As you see, we have the seats in kind of a circular arrangement. However, these seats will be movable, so you can accommodate different types of seating and different type of flexibility. We can actually move the seating around and orient toward the front and have a more traditional education environment. We'll have some dark curtains that we can open up, and there will be a whiteboard in an area where an instructor or teacher can basically have a class. So it could be another extension of classroom space for you. Also, David had mentioned kind of the storefront display space, and to the bottom of the plan, you can't see where I'm pointing, sorry, but to the bottom of the plan there's kind of a blue area, and that's called Historic Planetarium Display Area. That's where we're going to put the existing old planetarium projector. It's almost like a work of art. It's almost like a piece of sculpture. And we're going to have a backdrop behind that of, as David mentioned, the manned space program, more than likely a timeline, some interesting imagery that we can show that basically presents an entry to this planetarium, because we feel it's that important. It needs kind of an entrance. And I will hurry up with my comments, so go ahead.
So Turnitin, the main focus of the planetarium is instruction, and the course is astronomy. So this just gives you an idea of the major concepts and things that are taught in our astronomy course.
How many astronomy courses do we have?
Right now we have 2 sections.
2 sections
Right.
consisting of what?
About 25 students in each
25
section.
students?
And of course, we expect this program to grow as interest in the new planetarium grows. And honestly, I think that the numbers have been, and Todd, you can bring in, the numbers have been depressed just because we're in this transition. In other words, the numbers that are enrolled in.
How long has the other old planetarium been out of operation?
Sorry?
How long has it been out of operation?
It's not out of office.
No.
I mean,
It is not currently being used. I think this is the first year that the projector has never been used, because it just doesn't do what we need it to do.
yeah, because I've talked to several high school students and they don't remember it.
They teach the class. My daughter taught the class, and they teach the class, but they're not using the planetarium itself, correct?
They're using
it's their fifth
regular
time.
flat surface projection
Right.
media.
Can I ask a quick question? Size-wise, as far as the size of the building, the size of the planetarium itself, we're only going to go up about 150 square feet. Do we feel like that's ample if we're trying to make this a shining star? No pun, but some pun intended.
I may have misspoke, but it's 1,160 square feet.
as opposed to 683.
Oh,
But the
okay,
seating
okay.
is going to be the same, about 30.
Okay.
Is this, yeah, is this 100, I think what we asked for.
1,160. Okay.
I have a couple of questions. As far as financing, and this may go with maybe a conversation with Davin's chief of staff, but is there possibly some science grants or something with NASA or so that you could help pay for part of this project?
If it is, it's in the out years, David.
Okay.
Yeah, it won't be in
And
time.
there's no
to
money
add
at
to-
NASA where you been?
Hey,
Yeah, right?
well, maybe a new president, hopefully, maybe.
SpaceX maybe, but, you know, not NASA right here.
Okay.
There's, and forgive me, I was out of the room for a moment. But the seating provides more efficient orientation to the dome now. I mean, we're changing seating, we're changing the way we're presenting things in the new planetarium versus the old planetarium. Am I correct in that?
You are correct.
Okay. And so, I mean, it's a completely different structure. We have reached a point in time that the old equipment is just obsolete. And to take the new equipment and move inside of where we are, by the time we abated the dome and did those types of things that we needed to do versus just demolishing it, I'm sure all that was covered. But we need to either do this or take that space as it's framed out and not do it.
No question. You had mentioned the exterior is going to be blending with the exterior of the math and science building.
Yes, sir.
And that, okay. And you had mentioned about access from the outside, so you can have visitors and all that. How's that oriented towards the parking lot? I guess in the back or wherever. Is it easy access, a quick walk, or how is that oriented with the parking?
If you look on this slide where the number 2 is, that
Right.
the 2 is right over that parking lot.
So you're going to take parking out then?
No, sir. No, the building is down below the 2.
Okay.
The actual planetarium building is down, connected to the main part of the campus.
Okay.
There is a green space between that building and the parking lot, and we're gonna show you some concepts.
David, while you have that up, if I am a career tech student, just take your finger or whatever, if you can, I guess you can, or your
Mouse,
marker.
there you go.
Now, and show, we gotta come all the way down. Show
Right
us
now?
our current path. Yeah, our current
Right now,
pathway is down through the commons.
We're coming down this road, and we're coming down to this entry right here, and then there's no way to cut across. And so to get to the other side, we have to go all the way down into the hallway that runs in front of the B, and then into the commons,
And then out to where it is.
out through the student center. You get across the parking lot to either the theater, the PEC, or Fine Arts.
Now, when we're complete, we'll be able to move from the career tech underneath that covered walk into the science and STEM,
Right.
hit the common hall, and come around.
You can go you can go around this way through math science, alongside Chateau's PE dance, through the multipurpose center, on down, and you can connect directly and internally in a wide hallway to either the theater or the PEC or Fine Arts. Or you can come straight down this way through the renovated part of the D building past the library and get down to the B building for all your English and social studies class.
Okay.
So it's a circular path. It can go either direction, and it's all indoors.
With the exception going from K to the building.
Yes, sir.
Or with the exception going to the natatorium.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
One of the things I like the idea. I would imagine if this gets built, as far as what the district may be looking at, but I would think as far as the public to see, I would think once it's open, I would think as far as if you can access it from the exterior, is that offer some public showings, whether you have kids in the school district or not, to be able to come at certain scheduled times, maybe get tickets just like they would get a Bulldog ticket game, and actually invite them and see this, because I think this would be a very much enjoyable experience for the community. So I would highly recommend we might look into that as far as that's concerned. And also, too, if we're going to have like a storefront, like per se, to have the old projection equipment, as possibly reaching out to NASA and see maybe they have some minor artifacts or things like that that they might willing to donate.
That's already in the works.
Well, good. I like that. So.
And you're actually, this is a great segue because we're talking about cross-curricular applications. It's not just going to be astronomy. You can teach a variety of science concepts and different science classes in that facility. The same with math. Social studies, you can talk about things like cultural studies. For example, the Native Americans have a unique star-based astronomy concept.
Yeah.
The ancient world exploration was conducted by mariners that navigated by the stars.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's how the Pacific Islands were pretty much settled. And so, I mean, all of this is...
Well, even that, like you mentioned on the bottom, Theo, like you can show images of, I mean, not just outside the space concept, but I'm not sure with the technology, just doing like timelines and things like that, social studies and pictures, images of figures and things like that, besides just a space, we think of planetarium, just a space.
You can also do Earth studies because the UniView system that we've got that drives the projector also can show you, if you were at Mars looking at the Earth, what would it look like? If you're on the Moon looking at the Earth, what it would look like? You can look at the night energy use. You can look at weather patterns. I mean, so there's just an awful lot of flexibility that this digital system provides that was never part of the original mechanical projection.
We're looking at raising the budget by 1.3 million, I think, or how much?
1.37 maybe?
What would be what's the total cost, including what we've previously budgeted, plus we're talking about adding additionally?
The dome and the equipment is projected to be about $360,000. Now, that does not include the construction cost. So I don't have that number.
I mean, our total budget for this, I know we're raising 1.37. I'm just wondering what our total budget is for this planetarium.
I would say 1.37, Philip, because we're not taking $250,000 or $300,000, which we assumed it would take to get the old facility usable, and allocating that on top of this. If that's the question, I mean, if there is some if there's some line item that there's,
Sorry?
all this was done conceptually early on, because we knew we wanted to save the existing planetarium. At least I thought we wanted to save the existing planetarium, and
That was a recommendation from the Citizens Bond Committee.
it was to say, and it's just not economically feasible. So at some juncture, we had, let's say, $250,000 or $300,000 conceptually, to put in this facility. That $250,000 or $300,000 is still in that guaranteed maximum project somewhere, but it's not on top of this 1.137. So 1.133, whatever the number is, I forget the number, but I'm close one way or the other. So this is not 300,000 plus 1.33. This is the pure cost assigned to this project, and there are some now we are picking up demolition and renovation cost of the old facility.
So we're basically talking about building a new planetarium for 1.37.
Correct.
The amount that was in the original budget is going to be spent somewhere?
The amount that's on the original budget, Philip, will probably be assigned and spent in the. It's not going to take $250,000 to demo and update that classroom, but it was not. Sir,
There's asbestos abatement.
is it an asbestos abatement in there? I mean, that was kind of what moved us out of that room to begin with. I think that and size. I don't know what the cost of renovating that space is, Philip. but this is an increase in guaranteed maximum price of 1.37. There was $250,000 or $300,000 there somewhere to be spent on this project. That's still in that budget somewhere. If that, to answer your question.
Yeah, I'm just concerned. I mean, I see the excitement, I see the exuberance. Very appreciative of Linda's dad helping with this project. I'm just trying to justify it in my mind from a cost standpoint in our end game. We have 25 students using $1.37 million project. How many of our students go on to astronomy?
Where you just said that you can do multi-disciplines. You're not limited to just astronomy. You're also looking at mathematics applications and social studies.
I mean, I can do that. I can do that with a computer and a movie screen. I mean, this is great stuff. I mean, it's very nice, but I mean, it's very costly.
It is very costly, Philip. And some of that stuff, I think, from an accounting standpoint, gets charged off to what you would call, folks used to call goodwill. But I don't think it's 25 students. I think it was 25 students twice, which is 50 students. But if we're talking about 7 periods a day of instruction, we're talking about this space being there. I'm not naive enough to think if you build it, they'll come. I'm not trying to sell you a field of dreams. But with this gear and this software and this external exit and this opportunity to grow our relationship with NASA, and to teach social studies. Yes, I can teach social studies in this classroom. Tonight's school board meeting is a civics lesson. But the way that the stars interacted with the exploration and definition of what we know to be humanity, I think the thing will be overbooked and people will be frustrated about wanting to use it versus us just having 50 kids that are using it.
What is the use of the Burt Baker now?
We're not talking about the Burt Baker. We have had a planetarium in this district for over 55 years. When we did the Citizens Bond Committee, we talked about the fact it was specific. We did not want to lose the planetarium. We are here at the Johnson Space Center. There is no lack of people. There are astronaut teams coming out every year. There is no lack of interest in the space program. As a matter of fact, there's probably an over-influx of aerospace engineers at Texas A&M right this minute.
Yeah.
We've already talked about this. I understand your cost concerns, but this is part of this district, and it's not something I'm willing to give up.
Well, I understand that, Ms. Green, but I'm just worried that at $200,000, I'd be willing to support this. At $1.37 million, I see it more of a want than a need, and that's my concern.
I mean,
Well, I would say, with due respect to everybody at the table, that everybody's position is there, be it want, be it need, be it wherever, and
I mean, there's a reason there's only 13 of these things.
so the reason there's only 13 of these things is because they are very expensive, and you're correct about that. But there are also very few school districts within striking distance of where we are have the significant relationship that we have with both maritime and space.
Yeah.
I think we're uniquely placed. We're not going to persuade ourselves here, Philip. I'm respectful of your position.
I know I'm contrary to everybody. It's 10:05, and I think I don't know. That's all I know. I don't know.
I think that's fine. Well, I think we'll know if you'll call a vote.
I appreciate that.
Anything else?
Philip, I understand.
I do want to say, team, just while they were talking, I Googled school districts and planetariums, and Waco ISD is considering, and this article was posted 3 days ago, Waco ISD board weighs options on planetary funding. So we're not the only one out there that's trying to do this. Looking at my personal schedule, I think I would like to go visit on this list of planetariums that are at colleges. I think I want to go visit this most advanced planetarium in the state of Texas at Tyler Junior College. That's a good day drive from Mesquite.
I think one comment I'll make is, because we've had planetarium for so long, it has really become in and of itself an institution. just as much as what you've tried to save in the past is the Sylvan Beach Pavilion, because you could easily say, you know what, when it was destroyed by the hurricane, say, you know what, let's just go ahead and tear it down. You can rent space over there in Baytown. Which is the same way here. Yeah, they can just send the kids to another planetarium, but it's become such much of an institution here to provide a service for the kids here and have an opportunity firsthand to have something where they have something they can be engaged in, and for goodness sakes, especially in science, as far as a nation that we're getting behind in both our science and our math, to be able to even create a scintilla of interest in those two subjects, I think they're worthwhile not only for the community, for this space age area being so close to NASA, but also for this nation. I think is a worthwhile opportunity to do so. And just as much as you had involved in as far as saving the institution of the Sylvan Beach Pavilion, I think we could also help save the planetarium and create a new interest for the future generations of this area as far as the technology and being engaged with students who now are on this. They don't even watch TV on the films anymore on the film. Let's go through here on this phone and apps and be able to do things with the technology that we have at our disposal. So
Bottom line to me is our kids deserve it.
Yeah.
First I'd like to address the point that we did save the pavilion, and we're not saving this. We're building new. I would, the money's not, the
We're
money.
saving the institution of having a
Exactly.
I've gone back several years and talked to students over the past several years, and they don't remember the planetarium at all. So I'm just, like I said, I have. And you can laugh at me. I know I'm going to take a lot of heat for this. I know that everybody else on the board loves it to death. I just can't justify it.
So for
No,
that reason,
everybody
let's
else cares
vote.
about the district.
I care about the district too, Ms. Green.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I appreciate
Team,
those type of
vote.
comments not
Let's call the
said.
vote.
Please. I want to get out of here for a minute.
We need a record vote, please. And it is now 10 after 10. Do we know anything, Ms. Green?
Nothing.
No, I just checked as well.
For the record.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
We'll make this
Thanks,
work.
guys.
It really was.
You too, Roy.
Thank y'all.
Democracy's good. Don't leave, Roy.
I do appreciate the enthusiasm that y'all exhibited, though. That was very good.
Yes. All right.
And
All right.
that was a
We
Okay.
have action
It
on
was,
closed
they were
session, Madam President.
enthusiastic.
Wait, no, we got D.